I'm more than late to the party when it comes to Phil Fish's important addition to the indie landscape, FEZ. With 2 years of hype piling up, it was near impossible for the puzzle platformer to live up to expectations. So yes, I will get it right out of the way. I came out of FEZ with some definite disappointment. However, there is plenty to love and particularly respect about this indie title. In FEZ, you play as an adorable little character named Gomez. Somehow, Gomez is gifted with the ability of 3D perspective in a world where all other creatures are stuck in a 2D existence. This happens when a disaster causes a two-dimensional plane to shatter into pieces that then become scattered throughout the universe. These pieces are of course cubes, a shape that has tremendous importance to the message of FEZ. Absolutely everything in FEZ is constructed from little cubes, from the plants, to the animals, to the buildings, and even the Gomez himself. However, a cube of course looks like a flat square from the correct perspective, and perspective is everything. The main gameplay mechanic requires the player to manipulate this in order to climb platforms and solve puzzles. Like everything the world is made up of, imagine the world itself is a giant cube as well. With the press of a trigger button, this cubic world can be rotated 90 degrees, allowing for the player to see the level layout in an entirely different way. A platform that is 100 feet beyond Gomez in the distance can look like it is directly adjacent to him from the appropriate perspective. For the majority of FEZ, you will be utilizing this mechanic, and this mechanic alone, to collect tiny gold cubes that then compile to make a larger cube of 9 small pieces. The other large collectible of FEZ are the anti-cubes. Throughout the game, there are a total of 32 each. When reaching 32 total cubes and anti-cubes of any configuration, you can essentially finish your first run-through of the game. This is my main issue with FEZ. Those first 32 cubes and anti-cubes can be obtained without truly delving into the bizarre complexities of this world. You will simply be rotating the camera and collecting little cubes while solving the occasional puzzle for an anti-cube. The perspective mechanic is not innovative or compelling enough to carry this game on its own, and I fear many people finished the first playthrough and never went back. If I were to quit after the first ending, it is likely I would have ended up giving FEZ a 5. Fortunately, I did not quit after what is called the kill screen. I went back and finished FEZ to completion. The collection of anti-cubes through the game's many puzzles is where FEZ often shines, and many of these anti-cubes can only be achieved after completing the game once and even twice. There is a new Game Plus mode that gifts Gomez with further abilities that allow him to see his world in alternative ways. I don't want to go into detail what these abilities are because I feel it would spoil the game for you. What I will say is that FEZ becomes incredibly complex for what looks like a very simple gameplay system. This is a source of both love and hatred for me. It absolutely is the most unique and original aspect of the game, but at the same time it can be so incredibly frustrating. It often comes off as complex just for the sake of being complex. I almost hate to say it, but it's kind of hipster. I take no shame in admitting that I utilized the forums multiple times to solve some of the more unnecessarily complex puzzles. One particular puzzle is even unsolvable at this present moment. It was only figured out because a group of forum users banded together and typed in hundreds of codes until one of them got it right. Some part of me believes this is exactly what Phil Fish wanted. There is absolutely an old school mentality at play here, from the difficulty of the puzzles, to the platforming, to the music, and of course to the retro style graphics. It would be quite remiss of me not to mention the charming graphical style in FEZ. The colorful 2D pixel art would have been wonderful on its own, but the fact that it is actually all constructed from true three-dimensional objects is what really sticks with me. I can imagine Phil Fish sitting in front of his computer for absolutely insane hours, manually placing block after block of handmade pixel art into a 3D world like a digital Lego set. Finally, I feel like I should at least talk a little bit about the music within FEZ as well. Although it perfectly fits within the retro landscape that Fish has painted, I can't say that I found much of it memorable at all. There are a few worlds that of course stick out at me, such as Gomez's home world and the purple world, where the 32 cube door resides. But besides that, I often found the tunes to be somewhat grating and abrasive. If stuck on a puzzle, you might find the loop track in that level beginning to bother you. I could totally see many players strongly disagreeing with that opinion though. In the end, I have a sort of love-hate relationship with FEZ. That being said, I am so happy that I experienced a creation that I'm sure is a very personal one for Phil Fish. I strongly respect the vision that he mostly achieved. It's been so long since I've had to take notes during a gameplay session in order to solve later puzzles. It brings me back to the days of Myst. On top of that, there are so many nods to other influential entries within the video game industry. It might not have achieved the uniqueness and innovation that I had built up in my head, but there is so much heart and creativity packed in this adventure. Even if you're incredibly late to the party like myself, you owe it to yourself to take a shot at this very interesting title. I give FEZ a 7 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video review and would like to see other ones on this channel, please make sure you subscribe. And also make sure to watch the Level Up Show on every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Thanks for watching and level up.